But if we go for subflow, it contains only processor. Okay. Now, what is the purpose of source, processor, and error handler? So source is an entry point of your flow, whatever you are defining here. So this is the entry point. If I want to put this set payload here, I cannot. But if I put in like processor or error handler, it will work. Okay. But if you want to put in source, you cannot. Since in source, you can put only those component which can define the entry point. So what all components are there? So in every connector, you will have one operation which you can define in source. In HTTP connector, we have listener. Okay. If you go for file connector, we have on new or update. Okay. But at the same time, if you want to use any other operation, let's say I want to use write in source, I cannot. You can see here, it will not allow you to drop it here. Since in source, you can define only those operations of that particular connector which can create the entry point. Okay, on new update. So what it will do, it will keep checking the file system. And if there will be any new record or updated record is there, it will pull from there. Okay. So same way, HTTP listener, it will able to listen the request to this REST API. Okay, so that's why we define all those components inside the source part. Now processor. In processor, we do all the orchestration and we do or define all the component to write the business logic. So here you can use most of the core component what we have. Like we have different kind of component. You can define try block also. Set payload we can define. So like that, in processor, we can define all the mule component which we use for processing purpose. Okay. Since this is processor, this is also processor. So same thing you can define here also. Okay. Whatever you can define in this processor, you can define here also. Okay. Since subflow also contain the processor part. Now you will say, what is the purpose of subflow if no one can initiate the processing here? Since we cannot initiate the processing here in subflow, then what is the purpose? So what we used to do, let's say you have some functionality that you are going to use in 2-3 places. You can define inside the subflow and using flow reference. Using flow reference, you can call this subflow. So if you go to this drop down, so which subflow sample to subflow. So this flow reference component help us to connect one flow to another flow, one flow to another subflow, subflow to flow, subflow to subflow. It can connect like in short, using flow reference, you can call flow or subflow anything. Okay. So from flow to subflow also you can call flow to flow, you can call subflow to flow, you can call subflow to subflow. All four possible combination are there. Okay. So flow reference is capable for that. Now coming to error handler. Here in flow we have error handler, but in subflow we don't have. So if you want to do any error, if you want to do any error handling in subflow part, then how you will do it? So for that, what you need to do, either whatever error will come, it will be handled by their parent flow, or you can use try catch block. Okay. If you want to do component level error handling, then you can use the try catch block. But If you want to do subflow level error handling, then you need to use like whatever parent flow will be there, that parent flow will handle that error. Okay. So let's quickly see one example how this flow reference is calling this subflow. Okay. So deployment is done. So this is the entry point. So we receive the request here in entry point, and then in next component we have flow reference. So what this flow reference will do, from this flow reference it will call this subflow. Since we are referring this subflow here, so it will control will go here. And once all the processing will be completed here, then control will go back to parent flow. Okay. Okay. This is done. And after this control, actually, I should keep one logger component to make it more visible. So after this, what will happen? Control will go here. If we will have next component, it will execute next component. Since we don't have next control component, so it will complete the execution. Everyone clear with this concept of flow and subflow and how to use the flow reference?
Yes, Ravi.
Yes, Ravi.
Okay.
Can you explain? Actually, I joined late.
Yes. Hello.
Can you explain me once again? I joined late actually.
Okay. So here, like we have flow and we have subflow. Flow contains source, processor, and error handler. But subflow contains only processor. So why we use subflow? Like whenever we have some set of logic which we can use 2, 3 places, multiple places, or if we want to keep some set of functionality in single place, then we create the subflow, and that will be called by any of the flow or subflow. Okay. Ideally, this flow reference can call flow also, flow to flow, flow to subflow, subflow to subflow, and subflow to flow. There is no such restriction. Okay. So here what this flow reference will do, we define this flow reference and we are calling this subflow. We are defining the subflow here. Okay. So whenever request will come here, it will call the subflow, it will complete the execution, and then control will come back here. Since we don't have next component, so it will send response back. If we will have any next component, then those component will start the execution. Okay. So in this way, like flow and subflow works. And this is the very important point. Like here you can see, like whenever you will drag and drop any component, automatically it will create subflow or flow. Okay. So you cannot define any component without flow or subflow. So you must need to use either flow, subflow, or error handler. That we will discuss later. We haven't started. So at this moment, you can say you cannot define any other component without flow or subflow. Yeah. Yeah, actually, what I'm planning now, like if I will take all the basic training, like weekday, I have only 2, 3 day availability. In that case, this training will go like basic training itself will go very longer. And as per the current communication, like most of you are going to join that project also. So that project will start in between 15th March to 1st April. So we don't have much time. Okay. So like we will speed up the process. So what I'm thinking, in a week, 2 day I will take basic training and 3 day Pallavi will take, okay, basic training part. And parallelly, we will start the project part. Okay. For that, actually, I need some time to work. Okay. So in backend, I will start working on the documentation part. So once you people will have some understanding on MuleSoft, like so far you have learned many component like all the choice routers, then set payload, set variable, transform message, logger component, HTTP connector. So slowly, like maybe in 1 week, this week we can target to cover the 50% component. Then you will have good shape to start the project also. Okay. So in backend, we will start project also. Okay. Today I will not able to take like longer session. But tomorrow, Pallavi will take and she will try to complete the error handling part. Okay. And tomorrow, please join at 4:30. We will start sharp 4:30.
Okay, Ravi.
Okay,
Do
Ravi.
we have morning classes also?
Not morning. Afternoon is data weave session. That is optional. If you have time,
Okay. At
you
what
can.
time?
Generally, she used to take 10:30, but you can check in groups. She used to communicate there.
Yeah, she
Okay.
took afternoon session, Ravi, today. In the
Okay.
afternoon, she took. Due to some
Okay.
network issues
Otherwise,
from her end.
okay. Otherwise, let
Afternoon
me.
session is also comfortable for me.
Okay. Let me align with for time on the data weave session. Okay. And then I
Okay.
will put in group only.
Okay.
Yeah. Data weave is not mandatory. You can do by yourself also. But yeah, if it is going on through class, then you will be punctual and you will keep learning things. Okay. So I will suggest everyone, if you have time, please join the data weave session.
Okay.
Fine then. Thanks everyone.
Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you.
Thank you.